30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on what officially is a beautiful Monday, but it absolutely feels like Black Monday. Did anybody's team win over the weekend? Anyone? Anyone?
Did the Preds not even win?
Anyone? Anyone? Excuse me?
So did the Preds lose too?
Yes. Yes, they did. To Arizona.
Not even
They're
the
not
Preds.
playing well right now.
No.
Not playing well at all. What's in the background back there? Haven't seen a lot of that.
No.
Anyway, so much for all the positivity. Yes, it is Black Monday. Maybe, I don't know, about 2 months early. The NFL guys will all get it on January the 8th, I think it is. But let's get into some football right off the bat. It's time for Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update, brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. She wants to be your mortgage lady, and through the folks at USA Mortgage, that absolutely can happen. Dial her up, 615-969-4350. There's Terry McCormick, Main Street Media. Terry, we'll get to the performance in a minute. What about the injuries that came out of yesterday in Tampa?
Well, a couple of guys. Andre Dillard is in the concussion protocol, and Chance Campbell somehow injured himself in pregame warmups and did not get to play on Sunday. So we'll see what he looks like going forward. But certainly, a situation where a couple of injuries here, a couple of injuries there, and then you mix that with the ineffectiveness of pretty much everybody that took the field yesterday, and not a good situation for the Titans.
Terry, this feels a little bit like the Cleveland loss in that they got absolutely nothing done. The difference is Cleveland's pretty good and Tampa is not.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Although I'll say this, you give Baker Mayfield time to throw, and the Bucs did yesterday. He's got some weapons in Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and then this Palmer kid that they found from somewhere. He has some weapons to throw to, and the Bucs certainly took advantage of that. But I think if you're a Titans fan, where you had to be most disappointed was the fact that this offense was just vanilla and just awful. Just the offensive line, couldn't protect anything. And, they're allowing Will Levis to just take a beating back there. So kind of hard to evaluate your quarterback when he's running for his life on nearly every single play.
The surprise of that, Terry, is that either he did or they did at least a decent job of masking it in Pittsburgh. They didn't mask anything yesterday.
No, the Bucs just came right after them, and they knew that the Titans were bad on the offensive line. Then they just said, "Okay, we're gonna blitz the house," and they did, and certainly made life uncomfortable for Levis back there in the pocket. And whatever assignments were missed, whatever one-on-one matchups were lost, it all added up to a big disaster yesterday.
So, don't you think now this is the blueprint until otherwise the Titans figure it out, that Jacksonville is going to blitz everything but the Gator Bowl starting the game on Sunday?
Probably so. I mean, why wouldn't you? If you have the personnel to be able to do that, then, why wouldn't you, make life uncomfortable for Will Levis and try to, get to him and see if you can force some errant throws, because this offensive line, George, we've talked about this before. It's not going to get fixed this year. It just isn't. The guys they have, there are no good options. It's not like baseball where if you need a second baseman and there's a guy hitting 350 in AAA, you just bring him up. There's none of that in football because, the guys that you have, they're on the practice squad. They're developmental players, the guys who are very unproven, untested, who are not getting game reps. They're guys on the street that maybe get put on the waiver wire or whatever. You don't know what you're getting with them. But in a couple of instances, it couldn't be much worse than what you're getting out of what you got. So I don't know why you wouldn't at least keep searching and look for answers.
Well, it's the kind of performance that forces people to say, what's going on here?
Well, I think it's just the product of a generally poor roster. I mean, the misses of draft picks over the last 2 or 3 years are, starting to come home to roost.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't miss on as many guys as they've missed on and not feel the effects of it. I mean, you can get lucky. Like San Francisco missed on Trey Lance and, traded picks to get up there to take him. And he didn't prove to pan out. But they also had the good fortune or the smarts, whichever you want to look at it, to take a flyer on Brock Purdy, and he's panned out, splendidly. So it offsets. The Titans aren't hitting on many first-round picks. They also aren't hitting on many 6th or 7th-round picks either. So, it's just been disaster, up and down the board. So, and here's where they are. I mean, I think Mike Vrabel's going to get a chance to fix this along with Rand Carthon. But like I've told you before, it's like a presidential administration. Whenever there's an administration change from one guy to another, one party to another, they always blame the guy that was in there before for everything that's wrong. Well, the public will buy that for a certain amount of time, about a year or so. Then they want you to start fixing the problem. The problems become your problems, and it's your responsibility to fix the mess, even if you didn't create it. So that's kind of where the Titans are. It's going to be Mike Vrabel and Rand Carthon's job to fix the mess, even though they didn't create all of it.
Isaiah Wilson, Caleb Farley, and sadly for the moment, Treylon Burks.
Yeah, and it goes beyond just first-round picks, George. A lot of the second, third, fourth round, they're not getting contributions there either.
But
and
those
then,
are the number ones anybody should be able to key in on.
And let's be honest, they're still reeling from some of the moves that they made beyond the draft. The A.J. Brown trade has been disastrous. You can't let that guy walk out the door. The whole mojo of this franchise changed with that one move right there. And
okay, I'm going to stop here only because I'm about to go into deep depression. Terry, thank you as always. I'm sure later in the week we'll get back into all this. I need some therapy. Terry McCormicks Daily Titans Update, brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. She wants to be your mortgage lady, and through the folks at USA Mortgage, that absolutely can happen. Dial her up, 615-969-4350. So we go from all that positivity to Mr. Positive himself, Kelly Holcomb. Joins us
George,
from
appreciate it.
Murfreesboro. You're welcome.
I am positive. Thank you very much. So
Didn't Troy win this weekend?
They did, yeah.
Okay, well, thank God somebody won.
They clinched
somebody associated with the show won.
Right.
Yeah, they clinched the West Division of their conference. So they're actually hosting the title game December 2nd.
Who is the likely opponent?
They said probably Georgia Southern, but I'm not sure on that.
Yeah. Okay.
Georgia Southern still has a good they still have a great following. Some of my teeth are still on that field down there, which I'm not very appreciative, but it is what it is.
Right. I didn't know you had phony teeth. Billy, how are you?
I'm good.
Yes. Good weekend?
Good weekend, yep. It was. I was down in Florida. It was in the 80s down there. It was weird.
No, that's because it's south of here.
But I thought it would be a little bit cooler. Maybe not quite mid 80s the whole time.
It's been summer has hung as tough as it can hang.
Yeah, that's true.
Billy, I was on the beach one time when I first started out with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I was on the beach Christmas Day.
Oh, that just doesn't feel right. It's awesome.
I know, but it is awesome. It's pretty cool. It like doesn't feel like Christmas.
No, that's
I mean, hey, I'd rather be warm than cold.
It's just weird. Mid-November, you're in the mid 80s. Although Nashville gets like that sometimes with the inconsistency.
Kelly Mele Kaliki Maka to you.
I'll say this too. Talking about Troy, John Sumerall might not be at Troy next year.
I told y'all, man, the dude's gone. He's on the up and coming, man. Like the dude has lost 4 games since he's been there. He got beat on a Hail Mary by App State last year, and then got beat on a missed field goal by James Madison this year. And James Madison's 21st in the country.
Yeah.
So what he's getting at is, as all of you know, the J.R. Ewing wannabes won out over the weekend.
Finally had their way.
We're going to talk about that at 3:00 at length.
Okay, we'll save that.
Yeah.
Tonight, Broncos.
I'd love to have been a fly on the wall during that meeting. So we're getting rid of the guy. How much are you in for? $10 million. Do I hear 15 over here? We only need 50 more. Thank you very much, madam. Yes. Yes. And for that, you'll get season tickets for the rest of your life. Sorry.
Apparently there was a check donated to something called like the Aggie Fund or something for $160 million. And then during that game, that Mississippi State game, the next day, I would guess they might have used $75 million of that.
The story is
they asked George to contribute every now and then, and he gives $100. Way to go, George.
Well, the AD and I are tight.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Maybe he did call you. That'd be good. What'd you give him, $50? Ross
Bjork. I don't think, you ever seen the thing? What's in Vegas Vacation where a waiter gets tipped in change and that's what they would do. We do not take.
Mr. Papa Giorgio.
Mr. Papa Giorgio, exactly, who turned out to be Nick.
Yes.
Nick from Chicago.
I'm not on this in this reference. And
you're way over
never
your head,
seen
Billy.
the movie
Vegas. Google it, dude.
Vacation.
Way over my head right now.
What the hell is
Nick
wrong?
Papa Giorgio, dude? Figure it out, dude. Let's go. Go home and get on Netflix and rent a movie or something, dude.
I don't. That one might.
He's got a point. I mean, good Lord. It runs 16
Billy,
times a month on AMC.
Let me get to my update here.
Okay,
come on.
Billy, what do you do? What do you do after the show every day? Do you go back home and get in the dungeon, dog?
Kelly, I'm also not 45 in my 50s watching these Vegas Vacation.
Like the Vegas Vacation and
when was that movie?
Christmas Vacation and all that.
I've seen that, but not Vegas. What
Vegas Vacation?
Yeah, but I mean that's not. Most people have seen Christmas
Caesar was on there, man.
Vegas
Figure it out, dude. Let's go.
You're taking on water. Do you have an update?
I do. Tonight, Broncos at the Bills. Kelly's Bills, big one.
Let's go Buffalo.
Let's go Buffalo.
I love the primetime games in Buffalo because their fans are nuts.
By the way, the game last night might be the most hard-hitting game I have seen in a while. Jets and the Raiders.
I saw something about the Jets, and obviously their offense has been awful, but they never motion. They're like the fewest. They have the fewest amount of motions before plays. Saw that on ESPN, and somebody said, I think it might have been Jeff Saturday saying, hey, maybe this might help your offense if you start to maybe show some eye candy or something.
Earth to Nathaniel Hackett.
Peyton didn't like motions because, when you motion, you're changing the coverage. And now everybody on third down is motioning because they're getting obviously a zone or a man read, but you can still change.
Yeah.
But, when you sit there and you see the coverage, I mean, it helps.
So we got that tonight. Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh said he plans to attend a court hearing on Friday where a judge will hear arguments on whether to grant a restraining order that would nullify the Big Ten's 3-game suspension.
Yes, I once attended a hearing like that.
Maybe not as much at stake.
Well, for me, it was. I mean, percentage of income compared to keep going.
Also, Jimbo Fisher, of course, we know what happened there.
J.R. Ewing wannabes.
$76 million. So we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Mississippi State announced today that it has fired Zach Arnett after just one season. The Bulldogs have lost 6 of their last 8 games, and they're coming off a 51-win loss to Texas A&M, who just fired Jimbo Fisher.
The hire never made sense to begin with. To me, it was round peg in a square hole. They better go get this one right.
Yep. And Sumerall might. I mean, there's a lot of.
Could be.
His name is out there.
Could be. Jimbo could do it for free.
That'll be interesting to see if Jimbo actually coaches next year. He's going to be getting $7 million for the next until 2031.
Yeah,
for doing he could just do nothing.
Do you think he coaches again?
I mean, is he ate up with coaching still? If he's still ate up with coaching like Saban is, yes. But when you're making $7 million a year and not raising a finger, hey, I'm good, dude. I'm going off and I'm playing golf every day. So holler at you boys.
Sam Pittman is another guy. I thought, we saw this. I mean, they got pummeled by Auburn at home.
My uncle lives in Little Rock, big Razorback fan. He says it's coming.
Well,
I mean,
it's got to be.
When he talks, I listen.
Yeah. Well, Pittman said he was asked about it. He said, "I'm not worried about my job security at all.
He should be.
I think I'm the guy for the university, and I want to stay here for a long time." So.
Well, you got to your ass handed to you 48-10. It's not going to happen.
I mean, how about sprinkling a win every now and then there, big guy?
This weekend, Georgia, Tennessee, and Knoxville, Bulldogs are a 10-point favorite.
Yep.
Vanderbilt has a bye, which they need. SEC kickoff times for rivalry week. The Egg Bowl, of course, 6:30 on ESPN.
Thursday night.
Yep.
Thanksgiving night.
Black Friday, Missouri, Arkansas, 3 o'clock CBS. And then Vandy at Tennessee is 2:30 on the SEC network. Of course, the Iron Bowl.
I think it was CBS.
No. The Iron Bowl, 2:30 CBS. FSU, Florida. There's some good ones. Georgia Tech's going to be a good one, I think, maybe for a little bit. Georgia Tech's better.
For who?
For Georgia, likely. But, I mean, I don't think it'll be as easy as it has been for Georgia. I could be eating my words there, though.
Against Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech's they're not a bad football team this year.
Billy, stop, dude.
Just do your research, Kelly.
Come on, water again.
I mean, Billy, I don't care how good they look, dude. Stop.
Do you have a little too much guava juice down in Florida?
And then Kentucky, Louisville, to be determined on what time and channel that's on. But that'll be a big one.
Billy, I got a Florida question, man. Did you put a lot of stuff on that forehead there, big dog?
Well, we actually didn't go to the beach at all. We just ended up kind of walking
indoor
around.
Drinking.
Kelly liked that one.
No, he did.
That's all I got, George. George just slips.
I mean, like George and Terry were like, y'all were really depressing me in that update.
I know. God. You need to liven it up a little bit.
But like, can we find something good?
The body is in tune. Okay, so after the break, Watson Brown will join us for his weekly Watson Brown Titans analysis. I can sum it up in this phrase: they suck. Not much else.
They're bad.
Yeah, it was not bad. Anyway, we'll go to the break, see if Watson can pep us up. Stick around. Reaction Monday begins in 3 minutes.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donley Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. Well, the facts are that the Titans have won 3 of their last 16 regular season games, and that's awful. And we know that. But yesterday felt a little worse in Tampa. Very little pizzazz, got absolutely nothing done on offense. And with all of this in mind, we welcome all of you back to Watson Brown's weekly Titans analysis, which is brought to you by Pilkerton Realty. Watson, how are you?
I'm great, guys. Everybody okay on this beautiful day?
Yep, we are.
Don't cut this. A beautiful day for November now. We got
to enjoy it while it lasts.
You better enjoy it because it's coming.
Yes, you're right about that. So give me some thoughts on why yesterday felt and looked worse than anything else we've seen, with maybe the exception of Cleveland.
Well, I think because you felt instant replay. And I think there was some hope that, well, we changed quarterbacks. That's going to be the answer. And all I think this does is justifies Ryan Tannehill. I mean, you and Billy know for 3 years I've backed him, and they don't protect anybody, and any quarterback that plays behind the Titans' offensive line looks about the same. And The 4 touchdowns he threw against, I think it was the Falcons, he had all day long. They didn't rush him. They didn't have rushers. And we've got 2 good quarterbacks. But when you got people in your face constantly, down after down, even the other day, even the play action passes, and they couldn't get the running game going at all. I mean, Derek's hardly getting back to the line of scrimmage. So then those play action passes aren't going to be worth a flip. They know they've got everything under control. And then when we get behind and we got to drop back and throw, that's not good either. It breaks down even quicker, the protection. We're just the other thing I think we all see week in and week out is no team speed on offense. And when Spears and Phillips are the 2 fastest looking guys you got on the field, you just don't have any team speed, and it's catching up with them. I think we all see why it's 3-16, and I guess now what it is, 3-16.
3 of the last 16. Yep.
3-13, then I guess 3-13. No, that'd be right. 3-13. It's there, and it's mostly offense. Defense is okay, but even the pass rush this year hasn't been as good as it's been in the past couple. I think that's because Landry's not back yet. He looks a little better every week. Key started out strong, but he's not making many plays now. And really, our inside pressure is pushback pressure with Simmons and whoever else they've got back on the inside. So we don't just have that coming off the flanks like we've had in the past. And still the best thing we have is a punter. Right now, he's the band punter and kicker, and we even missed a field goal yesterday. So I just think it's what we feel, George, to me, is instant replay. And everybody got their hopes up a little bit over the first couple of games with Will Levis, and I don't think he's got anything to do with this personally.
Kelly, I'm going to ask both of you the same thing. If you're Rand Carthon, it's becoming ugly, obvious that they've got huge offensive line issues. Give me sort of your blueprint, Kelly, on what you would do in the offseason to start to fix this, whether it's draft, free agency, a combination. Give me your thoughts.
Well, I think it's all of the above, George. You've got to go out, and he's always talking. Mike Vrabel's always talking about helping the roster, and if there's guys out there that we think could come in and help this roster, they're always looking to improve the roster, and that's what you have to do. You and Terry talked about it in the opening, though, George. They've missed on so many guys in the draft, though, and it's like Terry said, it's coming to roost right now. It really is. They just. I don't know up front. I felt sorry because I've been on a team like that. When I went to the Cleveland Browns, we had guys when we first got there that just were not NFL type players on the offensive line, and we struggled. There's only so many guys you can keep in there, and if you start keeping a tight end in, or if you start bringing 2 backs in there and you start trying to keep them in, well, that means more back in the secondary to cover. So. They're just in a mess right now. I feel sorry for Will Levis. I'm like Coach. I've always been a Ryan Tannehill guy. It's not his fault, and I'm not sure if anybody expected that. I think they found their quarterback. We've all talked about that. But until you fix up front problems, and until you get some guys that can actually make plays, they've got one in DeAndre Hopkins. He's been around, been doing it for a while. But what else do you have? You got Derrick Henry, but I mean, he can't do anything with this offensive line that he's got. So they're going to have to do it in both free agency and the draft, George. They're going to have to go out hard. Hopefully they got, and I don't know this, but hopefully they got a bunch of cap money that they can, I think they do. I think from remembering, I think they got a little bit of cap money left. So they're going to have to go out hard after some free agents and get some people that are proven winners, that are proven starters, that can play, that can come in and help right away. And then they're going to have to use the draft to actually hone in on some guys and to make some right decisions, because if you think about who they've drafted in the last years, a bunch of them are not even still on the team, George. And then Terry brought up a great point. I mean, Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant. Now, nobody knew that he was going to turn out like he's going to turn out, but that's why you got all that scouting department. That's why you got all these personnel people to look at that stuff and look at hundreds of hours of film, watching guys, go talk to them, go put them on the board, go talk to their coaches, go talk. And you can't make mistakes in the draft. Now, sometimes you're going to, but they've just made too many mistakes in the drafts these past years.
Watson, how many? I'm going to assume we all believe Skoronski is going to be part of the solution. But in your mind, how many keepers are there in their offensive line?
Oh gosh, George, I don't know. I thought Ferrer, the kid that got hurt, is going to be a keeper. Whether he's a starter or a backup, he'd be a keeper. I think what you're seeing with the Titans guys is what you're seeing in the NFL, but it's magnified with the Titans. Everybody's saying, why are the offenses down? And we're just scoring much fewer points than they have in the past. And I think it's offensive line to defensive line play. I think it's gotten worse and worse. These defensive linemen now are so good, so big, so strong, so fast. And they bring in that you carry a lot more defensive linemen than you carry offensive linemen. I think we've been doing all this stuff to help these quarterbacks. I tell you one way you help these quarterbacks: put 10 on a roster instead of 8, and let them carry more guys. Let them bring in more that are on the roster, being paid full go, and improve the offensive line play, or you're going to see the NFL become more boring because these defensive linemen are killing these offensive linemen on all teams. It's just worse with the Titans than most everybody else. But I'm seeing it across the league. I saw it last night in the game I watched last night. The Jets guys are killing the Raiders, and the Raiders guys are killing the Jets. And you just figure out a way to try to get to 20. And if you get to 20 right now in the NFL, you got a chance to win. And that's what I think. And the Titans have just got to redo the whole dang thing, George. They got to put a lot of money in the offensive line if they're going to, and especially the style they want to play. But I don't think it matters. If you don't have a good offensive line in the NFL right now, and you're talking about Brock Purdy, look what he plays behind. The offensive line is really, really good, and the skill around him is really, really good, and that defense is outstanding. He's on a really good team. I'm not taking any shots at Brock Purdy. I'm just saying, Will Levis playing around that right now, he'd look a lot different than he has here maybe in the last 2 weeks, and so would Ryan Tannehill.
Kelly, I can tell you really want to comment on what just sort of got thrown out there, and I want to add one thing for you to comment on. Watson's right. Other than Spears, they have no team speed.
None. I mean, they have none. I said that earlier this year. I mean, they have none. Like who? I've always said it. Like who in that receiving core scares you? There's nobody that scares you. So it happened yesterday. Like you can stack the box. You like there's no play actions coming off that, George. There's really not. When you cannot run the ball, nothing scares you. And if you're a defensive coordinator, I mean, in Todd Bowles, I've been around Todd Bowles now. I was with him in Cleveland, and he wasn't the defensive coordinator, but you know what kind of style he plays. He's one of those guys that he's not going to sit back and relax. He's going to come after you, especially against a rookie quarterback. So that's what happened. That's what happened yesterday. They just got outmatched. And Tampa's defense pretty good. Now, when they get in the red zone, they're second in the league behind Baltimore of keeping people out of the end zone. And you got a big guy in the Vita Vea kid who they put out. You know, I was surprised yesterday. They put him out on the edge and let him rush, and he just totally killed the left tackle. So, but I'm with Coach, man. I've been telling people this: the defenses are so far ahead of the offenses, and I'm gonna second with him. The offensive line, like that was the problem that we had in Cleveland. Like our head coach wanted to go after defensive linemen. Well, you can get defensive linemen anywhere, but you can't find really good offensive linemen. And if you don't go out and get, like, if there's a guy that is, and I think Skoronski's going to be pretty good, but if there's guys that are coming out that are really good offensive line, you got to do your darndest to get those guys. But it's not a limelight type of position anymore. Nobody wants to play offensive line. These guys that are really good, they're going to switch to defense because they got a chance to get paid, George. I mean, you can pay left tackles, but other than that, you're not going to pay anybody else on the offensive line. And nobody wants to do it, George. It's amazing. But when you have one and you got one set in your sights, you've got to spend whatever money or whatever draft picks you can to go get him, because there's not many Bruce Matthews out there who was with this organization forever, and he was one of the best to ever play. But when you find somebody and you target him, you've got to go get him, because they're just very few and far between.
Watson, up till now, John Robinson has taken all of the fall for all of this, and all of us are trying to gauge, okay, how much was Robinson, how much was Vrabel, and we're never going to truly know the answer. But as Amy Strunk starts to look at this, and she can't be very happy with it, when does some of this start to fall on Vrabel?
Oh, I think it's slowly doing it now. I do. And I don't know if that's right or wrong. It's hard to comment on something you're just not on the inside and know.
Right.
It would be hard for me to watch Mike and his personality and where he came from and his background with Belichick, that he was not involved in the draft process. That would be really hard for me to believe. But I just can't go on a limb and say, because I don't know. But
sure.
You can't keep losing games like this, George, and it's not going to change anytime soon. The rebuild is obvious. The rebuild is obvious, and man, it's not going to be easy because when you got to start with an offensive line, that's one of the toughest things to rebuild, in my opinion. And I don't understand why they don't up the price tag on these linemen, because they have the deep. We've all heard the great statement all of our lives: you get what you pay for. Well, the NFL decided to pay for the defensive lineman. They're not paying for the offensive lineman. And so if there's a guy that's an in-between dude, he works his way up as a defensive lineman. He don't even play offensive line in college. And before you know it, all those guys are making all the money, and these offensive linemen are fighting for their lives. And it's got to change, because all we do is try to find ways to protect quarterbacks. And the number one way, as Kelly and I can tell you, is to put 5 guys out there that can block, that can protect the quarterback as much as this hitting them late and them hitting them high and hitting them low and all that. Get these guys protection. How do you protect a Will Levis or a Ryan Tannehill if you just watch our games with the Titans and don't watch anything but the quarterback? Very seldom does he not get knocked down. I mean, it's nearly every pass play they get knocked down, and you just can't keep playing like that, man. Sooner or later, you're going to – I don't care how tough you are. And I've always said, Kelly, that there's a different toughness. There's a quarterback toughness, and then there's the rest of football toughness. And I can't explain that unless you've played the position. You don't get to deliver blows. You're taking them all. And you're not thinking about taking the blow. It's not like a boxer that can protect himself. You're trying to complete a pass and not even thinking about that. To do that over and over and over is a special kind of toughness. And if you get knocked down enough times as a quarterback, sooner or later, it's going to affect you.
Well, and guys, go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah, and sooner or later, if you take all those hits, we're not like running backs. You're going to get hurt. I don't care. Like Coach just said, I don't care how tough Will Levis is. If he got hit 13 times yesterday, sacked 4. Like, you just can't go through that in the NFL season. And the guy is a specimen. There's no question about that. But with his injury history at Kentucky, he can't keep going through that. They're going to have to figure out schematically of – I mean, I'm sitting here, like, if we're going to lose games, I'm going to throw them bubble screens to Kyle Phillips all day. And as long as my quarterback's not going to get hit, if that's what we got to do, that's what I'm going to do.
Well, and the best D lines, we talk about in the NFL. What's a way to negate that? Having a running quarterback, a guy that can improvise, a guy that can really run around and make special plays. There's not too many of them out there, of course. Like, you got Mahomes, Allen. The best quarterbacks can improvise. And I think my question is, do the Titans need a quarterback like that? Is Will Levis going to be enough? And can they pass the time with Levis in this offensive line? Or is this offensive line just that bad right now? I mean, how much would a mobile quarterback, improvisational quarterback help this?
Oh, none. I was one of them, and I got hurt. You can't run forever. I mean, you cannot run forever, And most of the running quarterbacks in the NFL right now have been hurt. I don't think that's it at all. I think it's you've got to go fix this offensive line, and you've got to give him some speed. What they don't get to do now is everybody overplays the timing patterns. Everybody overplays the timing patterns. So if the timing pattern is going to break around 13 yards or whatever, they overplay them because they know nobody can run by them. Even Hopkins can't run by you. Now, he'll reach up over you and make a play, but he don't just run by you. And so they got a lot to fix, in my personal opinion, Billy. And the game, I think it was Ryan was still playing, I think. Kelly, you remember the game when we talked hard about they chipped out with tight ends and backs, and they chipped both sides in a game.
Yeah.
And it really worked well. And all of a sudden here now, they don't do it anymore. I didn't see it once yesterday. And maybe it did happen, but I didn't see it. If they want to try to keep this kid's confidence the rest of the season, they've got to find ways to protect him better and give him more short little bubble throws and stuff like that, more slants, more stuff like that. Move the pocket a little more than they do. But I just don't think there's any way with their tackle play that they got to near chip out on both sides before they go and run 3-man passes and chip and sneak those guys out late. That's what I think they got to do.
That's exactly what they have to do. And Billy, I think you asked about running quarterbacks. Like, he's very athletic. I mean, he's athletic enough to do all that. But you have to have at least some time to look.
Yeah.
If you don't have any time, there were a couple of plays yesterday where defensive linemen, like right when the ball was snapped, they were in the backfield. You have no shot as a quarterback, especially if you're going a 5-step drop concept or a 7-step drop concept, which I didn't like. But if you're not throwing quick game, I mean, you're in trouble. You at least got to be able to protect for a little bit, and then maybe he can maneuver. But that's how you stop all that stuff. What coach is talking about: take a tight end in there and let him slow play out, let him chip those guys out, or put his hands on them, and then let the tackle drop. And then once he puts his hands on them, he goes out in the flat, or he runs an angle route, or whatever they want him to do. But Tom Moore used to not. Tom Moore no, we're not running. Quarterbacks do not run. That's what we got. That's what we're paying Edgerrin James for. Now, I know the game has changed. I totally get that. But you've got to be able to protect the guys that are making the most money in the National Football League. That's who people in the Titan Stadium in, Pittsburgh, in Tampa Bay, wherever you're playing, they come to see the quarterbacks now. They want to see the ball thrown. So if you're getting them hurt, something has to change. And if you're a coach, you've got to make certain that you got guys chipping, you got guys slow releasing and moving out in the flat, something like that, just to help him, or getting rid of the football. And I'm serious. If the only good play I've got is quick game, and I'm going to throw that bubble screen to Kyle Phillips, at least I'm not getting my quarterback hurt. At least I'm getting him some experience. I'm getting him some looks, and then I'm not going to get him hurt. That's what I do.
Okay, guys, first of all, Watson, thank you so much, as always. Great to talk to you. Go out and hit a golf ball or two while you still can.
I will. Thank you.
Jimbo Fisher might be joining you.
Wow.
And
in fact,
Jimbo Fisher can buy his own golf course right now. He don't have to join me. He can play by himself if he wants.
And pay for the card as well.
Oh, he can pay for everything.
Yes.
Believe me.
After the break.
No, you can't buy a golf game, though, right, Kelly? You can't buy a golf game.
No, you can't. As witnessed by George. He's tried to buy he's trying to buy it for a simulator guy, but it ain't happening.
Wow. That is so unprofessional. So uncalled for. Both of you.
I'm gone.
Yeah, both of you can go stuff it. Okay. After the break, we'll go from hope to reality in the AFC South. In case you haven't noticed, Houston.
They've got something.
They got something. They do.
Got something.
Pretty doggone good. We'll talk about it next.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Well, here's Confessions of a Sinner. I paid a lot more attention. I had the ability to watch 4 or 5 different games yesterday at a friend's house. And so I watched with a lot more interest C.J. Stroud absolutely carve up Cincinnati. The better team won. The scary thing is the only reason it was close late were a couple of miscues by Houston near the end. Kelly, any thoughts that we may have had in August that, well, you know, if Jacksonville stumbles, we're right there. Please, it's not even close. Houston is light years better than the Titans.
Yeah, it's not even close. That was the whole thing. I mean, they drafted well. Obviously, C.J. Stroud. They're talking about him this morning. Is he a most valuable player candidate for the NFL so far? So
he's played like one.
Really
he's
good.
not going to win it.
No.
He is a rookie.
He's not going to win that. But like he's playing really well, and they're obviously like ecstatic with drafting him. Bigger kid, it was all about he and Bryce Young. I think he went to probably the better team, obviously. You still got to give because Bryce Young didn't go anywhere. We talked about that last week. I mean, he's still a good football player. He's not very big, but he's still a good football player. So we'll have to see. They're going to have to get better, just like the Titans are going to have to get better. But, I mean, D'Amico Ryan's got these guys playing really good. He's a former Texan himself. And – I mean, he played really well the other day, going back to the state of Ohio where he went over Ohio, being at Ohio State, and he played really well against one of the better quarterbacks in the National Football League who had a couple of miscues, had a couple of interceptions, but brought him back. And truth be known, I mean, if the Boyd kid catches that ball that he dropped in the end zone, we might be talking
Cincinnati might have won. Yeah,
they probably win. I mean, they're going to have to put C.J. Stroud in on a 2-minute drill, and it'd have been fun to see him do that. But man, I tell you what, he's playing really good. You'd like to have seen Anthony Richardson play some more because when he's running around, he hurts his shoulder. But they're still, what are they, 5-4 right now or 6-3? I mean, they're still. Houston, I think they're 5-4.
They're really good.
Yeah, they're really good. So everything that we talked about at the beginning of the year, they've got really good young quarterbacks, and Trevor Lawrence is kind of leading the way, but it seems like the Titans have got the quarterback, but they've got to build around him. And this is no longer the Titans division, man. It's amazing how it just switches really quick like that.
And this is all of a sudden a pretty good division, at least right now.
It's better.
Jags are 6-3, Texans are 5-4, Colts are 5-5, and the Titans are the seller of the division.
So, Kelly, Josh Dobbs has instantly become, a rock star in Minnesota. Yeah. And the truth of it is he was very good in Arizona, didn't get a lot of credit for it, and all of a sudden he's come to Minnesota and boom. Josh Dobbs was a Titan a year ago.
Yeah.
And we never saw anything remotely like this. Is that just simply that they don't have any of the stuff around any quarterback? Or is there more to it than that this staff wouldn't know how to take advantage of?
No, I just don't think they're very good, George. You've had 3 guys with Josh Dobbs. You've even had Malik Willis, so 4 guys. You've had Ryan Tannehill, now Will Levis. Just not very good up front, George. They're just not and they have no team speed on the offensive side of the football with the exception of a few guys who, they can run, but they can't elite run in the National Football League. And then you get Josh Dobbs, man. It's all about timing in that league. I had somebody tell me that a long time ago. It's all about timing. Kyler Murray goes back. He looks really good yesterday. He kind of is Mr. Houdini of what we thought he always has been. And after the significant knee injury that he had, he comes back. He wins a game for those guys. But sometimes it's just being at the right place at the right time, being around the right people. Minnesota's really good. I mean, you look at what they did last year, and they were in it. Everybody was talking about them having a chance, and then they're at the end of the season in the playoffs. They get beat by the New York Giants at home, which probably shouldn't have happened. But they got a really good football team, and they're doing it without one of the best receivers in the National Football League in Justin Jefferson. So he's gotten with a team that is kind of, they just popped him in. It's kind of like a Brock Purdy deal where they've got a good team, and now he's just got to right the ship for them. And, man, he's doing a really good job running, throwing. The guy's really smart. I mean, he was studying to be an engineer at UT, so he can learn that playbook fast. And when you get out there on the football field, George, I've talked about this. There's no better experience than playing. And he was able to play a couple of years ago. He didn't play much when he was at Pittsburgh, when he was the third string at Pittsburgh. But then now, he's played at Tennessee. Now he's gone out and he started at Arizona. Now he's going to Minnesota. When you play and when you gain that experience, you start picking up on stuff and you learn how to play the game. And he's he's fitting that mold right now.
He's cooking with gas. Okay.
Yep.
Last thing. Will Bill Belichick be New England's coach in August of 2024?
I heard Teddy Bruschi talk this morning on ESPN about Belichick wanted to be done by 70, but he's 70 now. So I can see him. I can see him being done. I really can. And then I think it was Watson was talking about it. You've got a guy down here at the Titans who grew up in New England. And it's kind of like he learned that way. That's kind of how he is. That's kind of how he is with the media. I just don't know. Like, Bill Belichick is obviously one of the greatest coaches ever. But when I talked to when Gronkowski was down here, somebody in the group or somebody asked him, he was like, "How is Belichick?" And he was like, "I guess he's fine, but I never knew the guy outside of the building."
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's probably kind of how Vrabel is too. I'm sure. Now Vrabel's he's a former player, so he understands that. And everybody talks about players, coaches. But it seems like with this new age of player, with this new age of kid coming up through high school, going to college, getting all this NIL stuff, going to the transfer portal, it's hard to get guys motivated when you're a taskmaster like Bill Belichick is. And I've had guys that went there that loved it. I've had other guys that went there and absolutely hated it. They could not stand it. And they're like, every day they woke up, they're like, I want to be gone from here. So that's a different mentality up there. Obviously, it's work. The guy's been to 10 Super Bowl or, I don't know, 7 or 8
however
Super Bowls.
Many it is.
Yeah, however many he's done. He won 6 of them with Brady. But it obviously shows you that Brady was a huge spoke in that wheel. And one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game, 7 Super Bowls. But I can see him stepping away. I can because people are starting to talk like is Bill Belichick on the hot seat, and you would never think that with the amount of success that he's had with the New England Patriots. But like he's not getting it done
close.
now.
I think we're getting close.
It's getting close. So I can definitely see him hanging it up after the season, George.
Okay, after the break, we'll have stat of the day, and then we'll get into college football. We've got 2 openings already in the SEC. Jimbo out at Texas A&M. Zach Arnett out at Mississippi State. Is anyone else? We'll talk about it. Stay tuned.
Convenience and value, 2 words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
All right, I'm here with my buddy Chip Ward from Lincoln Home Loans. And Chip, it's football season, and it feels like it's moving season every time of the year, especially here in Nashville. Tell us about your business, Chip, and kind of
introduce people to who you are and what you do here in the Nashville area.
Well, you're exactly right, Billy. It is definitely moving season, as it is most times, especially right here after Labor Day. Kids are back in school, and people are starting to think they want to get settled in before the holidays. And so what we are doing is right now we are getting a lot of people pre-approved for home loans. Inventory has ticked up a little bit. It has been down, but it's rebounding a little bit. And right now is a good time to buy.
Chip, real quick before I let you go, tell people how they can reach you. And if someone is interested in your business, how would they reach out to you?
Well, sure. At Lincoln Home Loans, you can reach me at 615-500-7579. My URL for my application page is chipward.net, and my email address is simply chip@chipward.net. And so I'd love to hear from anybody. I can answer any questions about the whole home buying and financing process.
On Monday, November the 27th, I'll be playing host to the 3rd annual Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night here at the Strike and Spare on Lebanon Pike. Here's where I need your help. We have 64 foursomes that will play with 64 sports celebrities. We've done a good job in getting the foursomes, and now I need some of you as single players to sign up and get involved. The cost is $200. The proceeds will benefit the Last Minute Toy Store and the Martha O'Brien Center. And what I promise you that night is great bowling, maybe not, great food, a ton of fun, and in fact, I'll make this claim, more fun than any charity sports event you have ever been involved in. To get involved, simply email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. Let me know whether you want to be in the 6 to 8 p.m. shift or the 8 to 10, and get ready for a night of bowling and fun you'll never forget.
Top of the hour on a Reaction Monday. It's time for Stat of the Day, brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards out in Shelbyville. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call, 931-492-4304. All right, let's see what Matthew's got cooked up for us today. On Saturday, Jaden Daniels became the second player in FBS history with 10,000 career passing yards and 3,000 career rushing yards. Who is the only other player to accomplish this? You awake, George?
Dead silence.
I say, is Michael Vick one, George?
Well, that's certainly one that would come to mind. Johnny Manziel would come to mind because he certainly had the rushing yards. 10,000 career passing yards is a lot. So given that we've thrown out two that make sense, but I'll bet neither one of them are it. Let's see what it is.
It is Colin Kaepernick.
The University of Nevada.
Wow.
He had a hell of a college career.
He did.
I would have never guessed that, though.
We could have been here till midnight.
The better question is, who has ever ran for 250 and thrown for over 300, I think it was? No one. He's the first. Or maybe maybe it's just 300 and 200, but I mean, he had arguably the best game from any quarterback ever.
Wow.
Statistically.
They talking about statistically. How about that kid that ran for Missouri the other day? He had
Cody
over
Schrader.
300 yards of total offense. Good gracious!
Yeah, he ran for over 200 and received. He had over 100 receiving yards.
I believe the word is workhorse.
Yeah.
Are we now officially into the 3 o'clock hour?
We are.
Okay. Then let's get to the firings in the SEC. So last Thursday, the Board of Regents down at A&M had what was described as a come to Jesus meeting, and they spent supposedly 4 hours on this topic. Who's going to pay to get rid of Jimbo? Kelly, $76 million. Yeah, this is ironic here. Okay, here's the handshake. Jimbo, you'll be out in 12 hours, and old Zach, don't you be sending out the laundry, anything but same-day service, because within 36 hours, you'll be gone.
It's funny. The man that won, what was it, 51-10 or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
got fired first.
Got fired. Well, yeah, they'd had a board of trust meeting. So, Kelly, what it appears is that it just means more means send your laundry out same day.
$76 million, George.
God. I mean,
can you imagine that? 70, like, I just, for me, they give you everything you need at Texas A&M, but y'all talked about it the other day. What have they really done? And he was brought there to answer that question. Like, we need to do something. We need to win the SEC West. We need to win a SEC title. We need to be in the national, in the national championship.
Right.
And it just hasn't happened. Like, he didn't even, I don't even think he won the West. Did he win the West a year? He may have won it once.
Never won the SEC title game while he was there. There are a couple of problems with this whole thought. Number one, Texas is in the same state, and they're not exactly afraid of A&M. And they bring just as many J.R. Ewing wannabes to the table as A&M does. The other problem is in the SEC West, there's a school called Alabama. Yep. And so we're going to throw so much money at it that it will automatically happen. To quote Lee Corso, not so fast.
Not so fast,
my friendly trustee. Can you imagine what that meeting was like? Are you in for $10 million? Could you go 12-5?
Well, it's amazing that they came up with it, George.
$15 million. Thank you so much.
I mean, it's amazing that they came up with the $76 million. It's just, if you sign me for that, God. I'm a good charactered guy, but if things start going bad, man, I'm just going, hey, I'm getting fired. I can't get it done. It's going to be hard to deal with. I'm just going to be honest with you. Like, nobody's going to be able to tell me what to do, how to do it. Don't even talk to me. I might even send out something like Nick Saban did when he was at the Miami Dolphins. Like, I might even send out a memo to say, if you see me in the hallway and I don't speak to you, don't speak to me either. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just the way it is. $76 million. He's going to get paid $7 million every year till 2031. Just, I don't know, but I feel like George, he lost the locker room. I don't think those kids respected him anymore. I think when he starts yelling at the quarterback and the quarterback
too much
starts
screaming at Max Johnson.
I mean, it's just and then he just walks off. You're in a losing battle, man. Like, what are you sitting here and you're deliberating back and forth with a quarterback? I mean, I know that Max Johnson is a good kid and he probably wasn't disrespectful at all, but still, I mean, I used to say smart things to Coach Donnelly, but there wasn't a respect factor there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I felt that had been crossed. And that's why these kids just said, nah, dude, we're not doing this. We're not playing.
Okay, so let's chuck out 3 or 4 names real quick at A&M. The one you've heard the most so far is Dan Lanning at Oregon. It does make some sense because he's had a heck of an early run there that could get him to a national playoff. Probably we'll know that around December 1st when he and Washington hook up for the Pac-12 title. That's one name. Lane Kiffin's a name you're going to hear, and maybe had things worked out better on Saturday, you'd hear a lot more about him. But for the second time, Ole Miss, which was ranked in the top 10, got boat raced at Georgia, had gotten beaten up pretty good at Alabama. They appear to be at the next tier in the SEC, not at the Alabama or the Georgia level, but maybe at the top of the next tier. You'll hear his name some. I don't know if it's legit or not. Here's one that got tossed at us a few minutes ago that's really interesting. Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley, they haven't played a lick of defense out there. They've really not gotten it done with Caleb Williams. Is he really a West Coast guy, or was he just pissed off at Oklahoma's administration and made that decision? And is A&M a better fit for Lincoln Riley than where he is now at USC?
That's a good question, George. There's going to be a lot of things. There's going to be a lot of names thrown out there. I don't know. I'm kind of with you. USC is one of the powerhouse football teams of all time, football organizations of all time, football schools of all time. So, but can you still win it out there? Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe, but it's been a long time. Mac Brown was no, it wasn't Mac Brown. It was what's the other guy? The guy at Seattle.
Pete Carroll.
Yeah. Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll was the one that went out there and he won it. But I just don't know. It seemed like to me, if I'm Lincoln Riley, he probably got mad. He obviously got mad at Oklahoma, but I think I would be trying to inch back this way. And with all the money that they're throwing out, I'm sure that's going to be at Texas A&M. Why not come back and try? I think, I don't know. It's just so hard. And it's going to be interesting to see what all this realignment stuff looks like next year. But that's what the Pac-12 is upset about. Nobody watches them. Nobody knows. It's all in the East. So does that play a role in this? I don't know. Maybe. We'll see.
So let's go to Mississippi State, where there's a good group that will get rumored. The guy at Tulane has to come up. Your guy at Troy has to come up. Here's one that they either, let's talk, or hell will freeze over before we go there. Dan Mullen.
Wow. You think Dan Mullen would go back? You think they'd want him back?
Well,
I'm sure they'd want him back.
Is there not an old phrase, once a coach, always a coach?
Oh, there's no question. I mean, and he's the one that got him to prominence. I mean, with Dak Prescott, he got him to the #1 ranking for the first time ever in Mississippi State's history. So,
and can anybody really blame him for going to Florida?
No, absolutely not. Because when you go to that's the thing about all this, George. Like, you're going to get some good coaches at Mississippi State, but can you win a national championship at Mississippi State? Or you just going there because you love the game and you like what are your goals when you go there? Like the same thing I think about Ole Miss. Can you, like, if you're Lane Kiffin and they do ask you at Texas A&M, well, you got to look and you got to put them both up together and say, have I got an honest shot at Ole Miss to win the national championship? Probably not. Have I got an honest shot at Texas A&M? They haven't shown it yet, but they got all the money, so maybe. I mean, you got to look at that.
The Ole Miss thing feels like he's taken it as far as it can go.
That's to me what it feels like.
That's what it feels like. He's gotten them into the top 10. He has them at the top of Tier 2. While we're at it, all of a sudden Missouri has gotten to the top of Tier 2 after pasting Tennessee. I never saw that coming.
I thought they would beat them, but I didn't think they would beat them like they did. I mean, my goodness, that kid right there was running up. Like, he had over 200 yards rushing the football. And the way that the Tennessee defense has played all year, George, I would have never, ever guessed that. But that coach at Missouri was just plastering that last play of the game when UT scored last year and made it over 60 points. He had that on the monitor going back and forth, back and forth. And those guys were ready to play the other day. I mean, there's no question. And they were the better team. I mean, they got a really good quarterback. And that running back he's a special dude. He's one of them guys that you want on your team. He's tough. You go in a foxhole with him. There's no question about that.
That's a lot like Tennessee was last year, right? they were able. They had guys wide open. It's like Missouri had guys wide open, whether it was Burden or the running back. It was just they made it look easy. And Tennessee, on the other hand, they just can't do what they did last year. They can't. They don't have the same pieces and hype. I mean, 7 points. Would you ever thought they'd score 7 points in an SEC game last year? I mean, it's crazy how it's changed just like that in one off season for them.
So all of a sudden we've got a game that everybody circled months ago, November 18th, Georgia at Tennessee. So the game, at least for Tennessee national stuff, has lost a little luster.
Yeah.
They can't win an SEC East. They're not going to a college football playoff. So, Kelly, it seems to me they got one of two ways to go. They either just sort of mail this thing in and say, or with 100,000 people backing them, they come out with guns blazing, which is what I think they are going to do.
Well, Georgia showed something the other day, Georgia. All the hype was Ole Miss, and you got to give it to Lane Kiffin. I mean, the guy's he doesn't pull any punches when he talks after games. He's like, if everybody thought that we needed to deserve to be in the national championship talk and getting in the top four, let's squash that right now because we didn't look like a top four team in the country the other day. And Georgia did. Georgia's still really good. I mean, they've kind of sleptwalked. Missouri's better than we thought, obviously. I mean, they're better than we thought, and they gave Georgia a task. But the other day, Ole Miss goes in there and just got hammered. And I don't think they match up well with Georgia. The UT does. I don't see it. Like Joe Milton's going to have to make downfield throws. He struggles with that, George. He really does. I'm for the guy. I mean, he gets on my nerves when he starts talking too much. Like as a quarterback, just do what you're supposed to do and get back to the huddle, man. Let all the other dudes do that and then keep them in check. But he's got to make some big plays, and I don't know where it's going to come from. I really don't. I think Georgia had a resounding win this past weekend over a team that was ranked number 9 in the country, and that really wasn't even a game, George. Like two teams that looked really good this past weekend. Now, I know Kentucky's not very good, but Alabama has gotten better each and every week. And Jalen Milroe, that dude threw for 3 touchdowns and ran for 3 touchdowns. The first time ever, I think, in the SEC.
We've never seen a player improve as much as this guy.
Yeah, it's unbelievable what they're doing, and they figured out what that guy can do, and they're not holding him back with running the football. I mean, the Tommy Rees guy has figured it out, and they, all this, as Coach Saban calls it, rat poison from the media. Dude, they don't listen to it. They just go out each week, and he's going to get this team. Unless they slip up, he's going to get this team to 11-1 or 10. Like it's amazing what he's doing. And I got some buddies that are Alabama folks, and they think that they're going to go to the SEC championship game. They're going to beat Georgia, and they're going to be in the talks to be in the top 4.
Let me ask you this: have they reached a point where you got to say, you know what, they might? First of all, what do you think the line would be? Alabama, Georgia, quote, neutral site in Atlanta. Doesn't feel very neutral.
George, I don't even know, to be honest with you.
Georgia 3,
Georgia 5.
Yeah, I mean, I think 3, 2, or 1 Georgia. That's it, maybe. But that game is becoming more interesting as Alabama plays each and every week. It's kind of like we knew Georgia was there, but the way that Alabama started this year, which I thought they would struggle because they didn't have a proven quarterback starter. I mean, they went through Tua and Jalen Hurts and Mac Jones and then Bryce Young, and now they've got this guy, this kind of unknown guy who waited his turn, said, I'm not going to transfer, stuck it out, started off the year not very good, but that's what happens when you gain experience and you gain confidence. And man, the guy is playing lights out. And he's tough for a defense to stop. He's a defensive coordinator's worst nightmare.
I love Alabama in that SEC title already because Georgia's not going to go into that, with a statement to be made. They're already in the playoff.
Oh, I don't think they're already in the playoff.
I don't know this year, Billy. I don't know if they're in there this year like that. Like, I think if they go in there and they lose to Alabama, it's not certain that they're going to be in the top 4.
Okay,
the way this thing's playing out.
Let's put up the 6. Let's just go ahead and break through this for a second. So, Kelly, you have Georgia number 1. You're old school like me, saying until they lose, to the victor goes the spoils. They're
Correct.
number 1. Now, do I think Michigan is ahead of Ohio State? I do. The fact is the game's in Ann Arbor in a week, and it feels like one of the two isn't going to be there.
Oh, that's for certain. One of the two's not going to be there. And I'm getting to the point where, with all the stuff that's going on with Michigan, if they get beat by Ohio State in Michigan, I think they're done. Now, if they win, they obviously cemented themselves in the top 4. I get that. Now, what do you do with Ohio State? Ohio State's had a couple of impressive wins, but I think they may be gone too. So I think this is winner take all with that Big Ten matchup in a couple of weeks when they play.
So, Billy, look at this thing, because it feels like there are 3 winner take alls: Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, Alabama, Washington, Oregon.
Yeah.
Which leaves Florida State is the only one.
Seat.
Yeah, Florida State's the only one that doesn't feel like they're in a do or die.
Is there any chance?
I kind of agree. I kind of agree with that.
So, okay. So let's say we've got 3 wins out of the do or dies. Either Georgia or Alabama, either Ohio State or Michigan, and either Oregon and Washington. It feels like
Texas.
Florida,
you got to bring Texas into the equation at some point.
Right. If you're gonna include Alabama,
yep.
Texas beat them. By the way, Sarkisian at the end of the TCU game put the pedal on the metal.
Hey, Texas,
get on with it.
We're not going to be talking about Tech. They're losing one of these games.
You think so?
That TCU. I mean, they almost should have lost.
They didn't look very good, but to whom?
They're one of these next 2 games. I know they're not playing Murderers Row, but
yeah, one of them's a home game against Texas Tech.
Who knows? I mean,
they were not very impressive Saturday. But anyway, there are a lot of moving parts still to be done. But here's what I do think: Florida State's the one sitting there going, you know what? By attrition, we might end up there at the top.
Well, all I'm saying is that Georgia.
By the way, Miami took them to the mat.
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah. All I'm saying is the loser of Georgia, Alabama. It's going to be hard to keep them out, especially if it's a close game in Atlanta. Because
I think this year's different, Billy. I really do. I think this year's different.
You got
the Pac-12 that's involved, and if Washington beats Oregon again, they're in.
Yeah.
Now, if Oregon beats Washington, now we got some deliberate. We got to start talking. I mean, I don't know where that goes, man. I really don't.
Oregon will be favored in that game. By the way, remember you heard this. Washington's not getting out of Corvallis this weekend alive.
They may not, George.
They're going to get beat at Oregon. This was not a good year to play at Oregon State.
No,
Oregon State's pretty good, man. They got a really good football coach, man. He gets those kids to play.
Sure does.
Here's one more under the whole where's all this stuff going? At some point, the hot name will be Lance Leopold at Kansas. Now, they didn't do themselves any favors over the weekend. Texas Tech went in there and beat them. But Kansas is 7-3. They've got arch rival Kansas State at their place this Saturday night. They're a touchdown dog. I'm here to tell you Kansas wins the game.
Oh.
Go ahead and put that in there. Go ahead. On
Is that a
Friday,
bookie, George? Is that a bookie?
Friday, there are 2 that you will hear from me. Kansas upsets Kansas State, and Oregon State takes down Washington.
George, that's way too early.
I know.
That's a booking. That's a booking.
It's Monday.
No, that's you booking it.
No, that sounds like you booking it, George.
I'll book it when I want to. You do not book for me. Okay, after the break, we'll get to studs and duds. Ugh.
Some local duds.
Oh, good Lord. Stay tuned.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
The George Plaster Show is Nashville's best sports talk, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. There's a podcast version available on Spotify and Apple Podcast.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
By the way, the college football playoff sites for the semifinal games, Rose Bowl in Pasadena, Superdome in New Orleans. The very first college football playoff where we had four, where we had a semifinal, was Rose Bowl, Sugar Bowl. And at the Sugar Bowl, Urban Meyer's Ohio State upset Alabama.
And then in the Rose, Georgia beat Oklahoma. Wait, no?
Florida State and Marcus Mariota
That's true.
played each other.
Good
and
fact
Oregon,
check there.
yeah. Okay, studs and duds. Oh, here we go. Michigan, best as I can tell, did not throw a forward pass in the second half of their bludgeoning of Penn State. Penn State is now simply the best of the second tier.
Correct.
Not at Ohio State's level, not at Michigan's level. James Franklin's going to spend a summer hearing about that.
Is he ever going to win a big game there, George? Good gracious.
Well, I mean,
Big game James, that's what they call him up there.
But that's going to be the narrative. Can't beat
Right.
Ohio State, can't beat Michigan, and when you play them offensively, you look dreadful.
He had some bad decisions too. He always has some bad decisions.
Michigan,
Michigan.
the court's best team.
Jim Harbaugh called them America's team. He said we should be America's team.
Right. They should
really?
be on a show with Judge Judy.
They'll be on 30 for 30 after a while.
That's true.
Let's go to stud number 2. Oh, yes. Brock Bowers is back. Did you notice how much easier it appeared to be to run their offense with him? Man.
His lead blocking is nuts. The way they throw screens out there and he just plows over a couple of guys.
The thing about it was the guy just got finished with having surgery. They threw one of those bubble screens and the guy came up to tackle him and he made a very athletic move.
He sure did.
And after you come out off of surgery like that, your confidence is kind of waning in what you can do, man. He looked really good.
Man
Really
amongst boys.
God.
Yeah.
He's an NFL tight end masquerading on the college level. The third one, I gave this to Washington. They held on for dear life. I'm telling you, Utah brought everything but the Utah kitchen sink in that game, and it almost worked.
Mm-hmm.
Good win for Washington, but I don't think they can gather it back up to go to Oregon State.
Well, they keep doing it, though.
I
They
know.
keep finding ways. I think
know.
there's something to be said for that, but it's going to be – that's a new challenge, I think, going to Oregon State, a desperate Oregon State team that would love to beat them. That's going to be tough.
The fourth one will surprise you. Remember in the summer when Pat Fitzgerald got fired? Northwestern is one win away from bowl eligibility. Who would have thought that, Kelly?
Crazy, man. I looked at that game, and I know you look at a lot of games too on our silly underdogs, but I was like, you know what? I think Northwestern may beat Wisconsin, but I just am not sold on it. And then I look up, and Northwestern beats Wisconsin. What has happened to Wisconsin? Good
I don't
gracious.
know.
Their offense sucks.
Luke Fickell
They're
got to
bad.
be going, why did I go here?
Yeah, but also I think this says more about their division that they're in. This might – I know it's always bad. The other – what is it, the Legends or whatever? I don't know what they call it. But, I mean, that division is terrible. Nebraska, Wisconsin, Iowa. I mean, Illinois on that side, I think.
Iowa scored. Give them credit.
Yeah.
Who's going to win that division?
I think
we know?
Iowa. It's looking like Iowa right
God.
now.
Iowa.
So the
They'll be
over-under.
They'll be the cannon fodder for Ohio State or Michigan.
Yeah. So on to the duds.
Vanderbilt.
Really?
Wow.
I mean, if you don't want to play, stay home. I mean, they basically put a stamp on it and mailed it in. That's not a great South Carolina team. That's embarrassing. It's bad enough that this team hadn't been particularly competitive in virtually any of their SEC games. But you can't tell me that the team that really played Georgia tough, that team played South Carolina Saturday. They quit. Pure and simple. They quit. Yeah.
Unacceptable.
George, I don't understand that either. Like, and Billy, you do a great job on those interviews on Thursday, man. I don't understand how you keep doing it, man. I don't understand how Coach can keep being positive about it because it does not look good.
It looked like they packed it in, and you wouldn't have expected that from a Clark Lee team. I was really surprised. I mean, but this has also been going on. Not to give up. I don't think they've really given up. There've been games, they've lost 35-21 with a couple of late touchdowns, and you could say, okay, they fought, they hung in there till the end. This one, at halftime, they packed it in and said, we don't want to be here.
Adios. Dud number 2, I never saw this coming. 36-7? Wow. Now, does this get the Bunsen burner turned up for Georgia? I think it does. It'll be interesting to hear tomorrow what Tony Basilio has to say, because I bet his call-in afterwards was heated.
Oh, yeah.
I bet it had a little
well, and their crowd will be revved up for Georgia, but do they have enough dudes? I mean,
who
It's
knows?
not going to matter. I don't care how much they get up. I don't think it's going to matter at all.
And Georgia will be loving it.
Those of you who don't like Kelly's attitude, I'll give you his phone number.
I'm sorry. I'm
Start
just.
with
I mean,
615.
Kelly, all these
I'm
Tennessee fans
speaking
don't
honestly,
like.
man. Do y'all think it's going to be like? I mean, it could. Like Georgia could come out but they played in huge games before, in big games the last 2 or 3 years. They always meet Alabama in the SEC championship. Like they've been in big games. They've been in big stadiums. Like, and UT is just. I don't know. I don't think it matters whatsoever.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, because if this game has the feel of they're up here and Tennessee's a level and a half below, that will be disappointing to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it starts all of a sudden, not putting him on the hot seat, but next year will be really important if they if they finish 8-4. Obviously that bowl game will be important, but Tennessee fans are a different breed.
Yeah,
and if
but this guy's earned better than that.
Yeah, I think
know,
so
but
too.
Nico, that puts pressure on Nico for next year.
Sure it does. So let's go to the third one. Way to go. Nice effort.
Arizona State.
Really? At the Rose Bowl, for God's sakes. UCLA at home to Arizona State. Chip looks like he swallowed a hand grenade. Does he not?
He does.
And then the last one.
I'm going to find somebody to get in touch with him, and I'm going to see if you can talk to him about that, George.
Okay, I'll do that. The last one, Pig Suey.
They're not calling the Hogs.
They got beat 48-10 at home
to Auburn.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. Auburn's gotten better as the years gone on. They haven't gotten that much better. 48-10.
Vandy put up a better effort.
But George, do you think the coaching carousel is going to go there next?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. I think he's gone too.
And the shame of it is, a year and a half ago, he was the toast of that state.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
This will be one of these deals where an AD, in this case, former Vanderbilt Athletic Department employee Hunter Yurachek, either has to say, I've put him on notice, next year he's got to put up or shut up, or he simply cans him.
It's really strange. Their biggest problem has been offensive line. They've been terrible, and he was the offensive line coach at Georgia for so long.
Yeah.
And that's gotten worse. It's just really strange.
He'd like to rent a few Bulldogs.
Does his well, let me ask y'all this. Does his quarterback move the needle for y'all? Like, I mean, I know he's a talented player, but like, I know he's got a C on his jersey that says he's a captain or whatever, but like,
truthfully, I don't think KJ Jefferson has gotten one bit better.
No, and the whole thing is like I understand that you got to be calm but like as a quarterback, you have to be a leader, man. You have to be. Here's the head coach. Well, the quarterback's right there next to him, and I don't know, man. It just doesn't seem like he energizes anybody, enthuses anybody to play with him. I mean, I think the guy's a talented guy, man. He's a big dude. He can run. He turns the ball over too much. We've talked about that on the show, but like. It's just like yesterday in the Titans game when when Mike Evans dropped that ball, you see him going over there. I would have been pissed. And I'm sure Baker Mayfield was pissed, but like that's one of the best players on your team. He goes over there and pats him on the head. And I'm not saying that KJ Jefferson does not do that. I'm not saying that. But like as a leader of a team, you have to move the needle for people. And I don't like if you don't have a very good quarterback that can't do that, you're going to struggle.
Well, and with a 500 or better record, 75% of a $22 million buyout, that's $16 million. With a below 500 record, 50% of a $22 million buyout, that's $11 million. Arkansas can fire him.
You're talking about the record for this year.
Yes.
What's their record?
They are 3-7. But Arkansas can fire him tomorrow and owe him that first figure, $16 million. But if they wait around and hope he loses the rest of the games this year, they'll save roughly $5 million.
Yeah, but isn't it already determined? I mean, they're not going to have a winning record.
Yeah.
At 3-7, the die is cast. The best you can do is 5-7.
You're right. So I don't know why they're waiting around anymore.
Well, hold on a second.
Where did Billy go to school?
You weren't a math major, were you?
No, I saw that. That was actually from October. So I saw that tweet from October.
Well,
Billy, go ahead and back up, man. I mean, what did they teach you at Father Ryan, Hoss? Anything?
Well, at least we had a math class.
Ooh, wow.
We had a math class as well, dude. Lincoln County High School, baby.
That BGA math, big stuff.
Your parents paid for that, Billy. They've got to be really proud right now. If they're watching the show, they've got to be ecstatic.
After the break, if mine were alive, they wouldn't have been proud of this weekend's picks. We went in the toilet. Hopefully, we'll have some technical difficulty, and I won't have to share how bad it was. However, we have a pick tonight, and by golly, it's going to work. Stay tuned.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458, or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
All right, I'm here with my buddy Chip Ward from Lincoln Home Loans. And Chip, it's football season, and it feels like it's moving season every time of the year, especially here in Nashville. Tell us about your business, Chip, and kind of introduce people to who you are and what you do here in the Nashville area.
Well, you're exactly right, Billy. It is definitely moving season, as it is most times, especially right here after Labor Day. Kids are back in school, and people are starting to think they want to get settled in before the holidays. And so what we are doing is right now we are getting a lot of people pre-approved for home loans. Inventory has ticked up a little bit. You know, it has been down, but it's rebounding a little bit. And right now is a good time to buy.
Chip, real quick before I let you go, tell people how they can reach you. And if someone is interested in your business, how would they reach out to you?
Well, sure. At Lincoln Home Loans, you can reach me at 615-500-7579. My URL for my application page is chipward.net, and my email address is simply chip@chipward.net. And so I'd love to hear from anybody. I can answer any questions about the whole home buying and financing process.
Convenience and value, 2 words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, We strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Broncos and Bills tonight on ABC. So we'll see what goes down, but we'll see what happened over the weekend first with Plaster's Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Give them a call, 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com. George, you ready to recap?
Yeah, I guess so.
This just in, there are no technical difficulties.
No, it doesn't appear there are. God bless UNLV.
God.
Kelly,
George.
Boston College, not close. Kansas, Memphis struggled to win in overtime at Charlotte. Tennessee got boat raced. Bengals got beat at home. This was a two-team teaser. Bengals at a pick, Seattle at a pick. So not the best of weekends.
The Running Rebels, the only win.
Yes.
Wow.
Against Wyoming. We thank you in LV, which is like 8-2 now?
I think so, yeah.
Wow. Where'd that come from?
They might be in this playoff poll coming up.
Barry Odom might just get himself a better job off of this.
Back to Arkansas?
Well, you think about it.
That'd be wild.
That,
maybe back to Mizzou OC?
Who knows? I'm just saying there aren't a lot, the world is not littered with success stories at UNLV football.
No.
And he has instantly turned them around. If he's smart, out of there.
Yeah.
So, Kelly, Buffalo has been a little bit of a disappointment to people. And there's a lot of finger pointing at Josh Allen, which I think for the most part is unfair. Because I think when I look at them, the weapon is Stephon Diggs, and then who knows who else. Because the running game is Josh Allen left, Josh Allen right.
Yep.
So in the offseason, they're going to have to really look at what it is they've got and what it is they don't have. That said, tonight at home, they will be good enough to take care of the Broncos. It's a big number. We're laying 7. Let's go, Buffalo.
Let's go, Buffalo. Let's go, Buffalo.
Yes.
I agree. And I feel as though, just adding to what you're saying, putting too much pressure on Josh Allen. He's an unbelievable talent, but I just hope he doesn't get hurt. If he gets hurt, he's one of those guys that if he gets hurt, man, they're in a lot of trouble. And he's keeping them afloat right now. They've lost a lot of guys on defense, George. Some really, the Milano guy. They lost some guys last week. They can't stop anybody on defense. Sean McDermott's taking that over. They're putting too much pressure on Josh Allen with having to run the football as well to get a running game. He turns the ball over quite a bit when he should just take what the defense gives him. But I'll tell you what, he is a competitive guy. And last week in that Cincinnati game when they got beat, they were down, but you could tell his competitive spirit. He was trying to bring people, and if he had a little bit more time, he probably would have. But I don't know. It hadn't been the Buffalo Bills that we thought, but, hey, we still got a lot of football games to be played.
George, I'm seeing 7.5 on ESPN right now. Does the hook change anything for you?
No.
Because sometimes that can be a big
Let's
hook.
go. I know it. Let's go Buffalo.
Okay.
Let me say this. If I'm not into a lot of hot takes, but if things do not go well tonight early for Denver, do not be shocked if Russell Wilson and Sean Payton get into it in front of everybody. I think Russell Wilson is getting tired of Sean Payton, and I think there's vice versa. These two are oil and water. Russell Wilson doesn't like Payton. Payton doesn't like Russell Wilson's game, and there's nothing he can do about it.
And Jerry Jeudy doesn't like being in Denver. He's a head case too this year with a lot of his antics. There's a lot going on in Denver, and we're going to see it tonight.
Kelly, fireworks.
I agree, man. That's a pretentious relationship between him and Russell Wilson. That's for sure. You can say they don't really like each other, man. I mean, that's what's that?
You said pretentious? I thought it was contentious.
No,
it's contentious.
I think it's pretentious.
No, when you don't get along, it's contentious.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Are you sure? Okay. Well, hey, you went to BGA.
100%.
I'd have to bet on that. But whatever the relationship is, it's kind of awkward. It's an awkward deal. And Sean Payton he's a Bill Parcells guy, and he plays no bones about it. I don't know if he does what Bill Parcells used to do, with standing at the back door and saying something to everybody that comes into the building. But it looks like it's rubbed Russell Wilson the wrong way.
It does.
And they are. Yeah, they're kind of at each other's throats. So it's going to be interesting to see. And I wouldn't be surprised what you said. I mean, they might get in a shouting match.
They might get
and that would be that would be great for Monday Night Football. That would bring the ratings up.
Means Buffalo's winning.
I think Kelly had the correct use of pretentious.
Really? Okay.
So pretentious, appearing or trying to appear more important or more valuable than is the case.
Okay, what is a contentious relationship? Is a deal where there are issues between the groups.
Contentious, causing or likely to cause an argument.
Contentious.
So both would work.
I guess we could both be right. Yeah, I guess we could both be right.
We both get a medal. Everybody gets
That's
a trophy.
right. You're BGA. I'm Lincoln County, man. Go figure.
See you tomorrow.
See you, brother.
Get a copy of Word Wealth and read up on it tonight.
I knew George
my mom used to do that all the time. She wouldn't figure out a word. She went to the dictionary. I kind of do the same thing. So I don't know if this is important for me to do that. I don't really think it is. I could care less.
Right. Watch the game.
Whatever. Whatever, George. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. See all of you tomorrow. Things are not going to be contentious.